Hi, welcome back to Mindful Serenity Yoga. And today we're going to do a heart sequence, a practice. And I have been noticing myself lately kind of refraining from yoga because of a little cardiac condition that sometimes acts up. And it has been acting up lately. And I probably did the worst thing possible by refraining from the one thing that can really help and has proven to help in the past. So this little sequence that I'm going to show you today will be beneficial for absolutely anyone, whether they have a heart condition or not. But if you are recovering from some type of an issue or have a chronic illness that's related to the heart, for example, maybe chronic angina or palpitations or hypertension or even hypotension, you may find some benefit in these particular practices, this particular sequence of asanas that I'm about to show you today. It will help to rejuvenate the heart. It will tax it a tiny bit without overtaxing it. We really do want the heart to beat fast so that the muscle stretches and allows a better cardiac output, more blood to get out into the body. We also need to rest it, so we do not want to overtax it, especially if you have had a heart attack recently or recovering from some of those type of issues. So these will energize without over-energizing. They'll also help to rest the heart and to allow for expansion of the chest and the arteries that surround the heart that go through the thoracic area or through the chest area. Some of those poses will help to open up the chest, as you will see, and this will help with circulation. So that's all my spiel is going to be today about that. We'll just go right ahead and do our practice. So I'm going to start, like I always do, with standing up. I'm going to encourage you to have your water handy. It's very important to hydrate. And if you do have a tendency towards getting hypotension, maybe because of the medication you're on, I'm going to encourage you to watch for those signs that your blood pressure might be getting a little low, you might be feeling a little faint. And if that is the case, please lower your head, bring yourself down to the floor and lower your head lower than your heart. So we're going to start with the most traditional pose, and that is the mountain pose. And mountain pose is all about being strong and steady like a mountain. So we are going to stand up in our Pada Bandha with our toes spread apart. Those 3 points from the bottom of the feet connecting. And we're going to take a nice breath in, hands above the head, and exhale down. Now, anytime we have the hands above the head, we really are taxing the heart. So I want you to be mindful of that if you're starting to get any types of weakness or fatigue or chest pain or palpitations or whatever from having your hands above the heart. Just bring your hands down into Anjali Mudra or Prayer Mudra, and this is very beneficial for the heart as well. Okay? So if you can keep your hands up, we do want to tax the heart a little bit. So as my toes are spread, points are on the floor, I'm breathing in and out. Now really watching our breath here, because we really want that oxygen to get to the cardiac tissue or the heart tissue as well as all tissue in the body. So we want to feel the belly expanding on the inhale and feel that nice light contraction on the exhale. I'm going to do this for 2 more breaths. I'm really hoping you can see my head. Let's get tall. And then on the exhale, we're going to drop those arms and shake them out. Now be really mindful how you're feeling. If you're feeling extra fatigue or if you're feeling any chest pain or discomfort from doing this, please lower those arms, go slow, and make sure you have the okay from your physician to begin this exercise routine in the first place. And I'm going to hold it here, shaking it out. The next pose I'm going to do is tree pose, which is actually a great balancing pose, but it also helps to balance all those organs within the body system and thus helping us to get the much needed oxygen to tissue, which is often a problem when we do not have, we have a heart that's not functioning at 100%. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand. First of all, we're going to make sure that we have that foot on the mat, really getting those 3 points in. I'll start with this leg as my support leg. So I'm using my left leg as a support leg. My support leg, I want to make sure that that knee stays slightly bent, as I mentioned through all my practices. to ensure that knee is slightly bent, just to prevent hyperextension or locking of the knee, which can add a lot of strain onto the ACLs or the collateral ligaments of the knee. So I'm going to bend slightly here, dropping my toes again, got those 3 points. We're going to make this easy. So we're going to just take a block and put it up against the foot. Now if you feel that you can do this without aggravating or straining, you can definitely bring your foot all the way up and do your pose from here. If you want to try it without going all the way up, you can bring it up to the knee and hold it here. But this is just a great pose for us when we're not feeling 100%. We're still getting the benefit of tree pose by opening up the hip and creating some form of balance, but we're not supporting altogether, so it's not going to be too much of a strain on the body. So again, this knee is bent. I have my foot up on the block. You see my foot, I'm stretching those muscles in my feet as well. If you have any issues with plantar fasciitis or something, you may have a tendency to find that a little challenging. You can just bring your heel right down. But this is good for the foot to stretch the feet muscles as well. So I have my leg up. I'm going to take a breath in. I'm going to bring the hands up above the head on an in-breath. Taking my fingertips together here, making sure that neck is nice and long, chin is in. Extension of the neck from the back of the head all the way down to the spine, to the bottom of the spine. So we're holding it here. Now if that's too much, you can bring your hands down here. And we're going to just get out of that. That's not really good for a video. I don't know why I got a kink there. But anyway, so continue with that pose for a couple of breaths. And you can bring your hands down into prayer mudra here. Holding it here for a breath or two. Really feeling that breath. Balancing, and as we do tree pose, we really want to get used to staring at one point on the floor. We're lowering our gaze and we're staring at one point on the floor. It helps with balancing, helps with our concentration. And we're going to drop it down. Shake it out. And we might just want to give that foot a little roll here and see how we're feeling. Now we're going to do the other side. So again, I'm bending here, keeping that knee slightly bent at the grounding of the 3 points on the bottom of my foot into the mat. Taking my block up, bringing my foot up so the heel is resting against the inner aspect of my calf. Holding it here, hands above the head. When I come up, the shoulders are staying down away from the ears. I've got a nice long spine, so the head is nice and tall, chin is in slightly. Holding it here. Let's hold it here for 4 breaths before we bring it down to Anjali. Really feel your breath. And I'm coming down here. I'll be a little bit more short of breath than I normally am, only because something's acting up. No big deal. I'm watching it. And we'll release that pose and shake it out. We're going to do another great pose. Great pose for the knees as well as for all systems of the body, but it's great rejuvenating pose and an energizing pose for the heart, because we do want to, like I said, we do want to get the heart pumping. We want to stretch that muscle and exercise that muscle. Like any other muscle in the body, if we don't exercise it, we're going to have problems with it. And even after we have cardiac conditions, as long as it's okay by our doctor, we're encouraged to exercise in small amounts to get that blood pumping. So this pose is one of those energizing poses that will help with cardiac output. So I'm going to take the top of my femur, the bone, the big bone in the leg here, the very top of it underneath the butt. I'm going to bring that up over my heels by bringing my knees forward over my toes. So I have lined up at the back of the heel, knees are bent here. Feel the quads activated, shoulders stay down away from the ears. On the in-breath, coming back. On the out-breath, lifting those hands up. I always imagine the point between the ceiling and the wall as my point, where to point my fingers. You can open the hands or close them here. Now watch that neck. We want a nice long spine, so we want the neck up, chin back. Hold it here. We're going to hold it here for 5 big, beautiful breaths. If at any time you find this too exhausting, just drop your arms, and if it's still too much for you, just come out of the pose. We're not pushing it here. And bring it down, shaking it out. Very good. I tend to do all my standing poses, then I come down and do belly poses, seated poses before I get on my back. So that's the order I tend to do my sequence in. You may find that some of the sequences or practices that you're doing, you're on the floor and you're getting up again, going down again, getting up again. The reason why I like to do it this way is that I'm avoiding that postural change, which can be an issue for many people with cardiac conditions, especially with some certain medications that they're on. Blood pressure may drop as they move around. I know I have an issue with postural hypotension, so I tend to do all my posture standing, moving my way down instead of going back and forth, just in case you're wondering. So I'm standing here. The next pose we're going to do is we're going to bring, first of all, tree pose. We're going to bring star pose. We're going to bring our heels out. Toes out, heels out, toes out, heels out, toes out. Get to a comfortable distance. Just make sure that your heels are in a nice line here. We're going to feel the grounding of those 3 points down into the mat. We're going to lift our arms up, palms facing the floor. Again, we want to make sure that spine is nice and long, so the neck is in line with the spine. The head is coming up towards the ceiling. Chin is in slightly, and back is the head, just so that we have that nice posture. Someone's pulling your fingers on either side. We're grounding down here, extending it out. We're going to hold it here for 5 breaths. Breath in, exhale, lowering those arms. Anytime you're feeling that your heart is breaking too much, drop the arms below the level of the heart. Anytime the hands are above the level of the heart, we're really working the heart, okay? Even if we're not moving the legs. So just be mindful of that. Very good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this foot in to a 30-degree angle, this foot into a 90. We're going to do 2 sets of poses here that are really good for cardiac, for opening up and for increasing our circulation throughout our body. So I'm keeping my pelvis forward in this position, and I am going to take a breath in. I am keeping a slight micro bend in this knee too, I should say, so we avoid any hyperextension. Arms are up. Feel that nice lengthening of the spine. On the exhale, I'm just going to come down as far as I can comfortably. So I'm just going to come mid-thigh, mid-shin, and I'm bringing my other arm up. Palms are open, stretching out those fingers, looking up if I can. If I have any issues with hypertension, I may not want to look up. I may want to look either straight ahead or down. 4 more breaths here for 5 breaths. And then I'm going to lower that arm and shake it out. I'm going to take this knee, bend it over the ankle. I want to keep it bent over the ankle, lined up with the second toe here. We have a grounding back here of this foot. Nice lengthening here. We're going to take those arms up again, just like we were doing before. We're going to lean forward, dropping the elbow down on top of the thigh without resting too heavily, lifting the other arm up over the head, just turning the pelvis anteriorly a little bit, looking up at the ceiling if we can, or looking down if we have any issues with high blood pressure. Holding it here, 4 more breaths for a total of 5. Again, if this is too strenuous, drop your arms. 1 more, and we're going to bring it back up. Let's shake it out here. Take that foot again, coming forward again, just kind of resting it out. We're going to take our hips this way, so they're both facing the wall, both facing in the same direction. Take a nice breath in. On the exhale, we're going to drop that knee, line it up over the ankle, lined up at the second toe. Taking a breath in, we're going to bring the hands above the head. We want the ears on either side of the inner arm. You can bring our fingers together for a minute and then let go. Now, if that's too much for you, again, bring your hands down to prayer and usually, or bring them behind your back. Whatever you need to do without testing yourself too much. 4 more breaths here for a total of 5. I'm pushing into the foot back here, the lateral arch here, the side arch, pushing into the mat. Let's get tall again, and exhale it down. Let's shake it out. We'll bring it back to start. Let's check down to make sure that our heels are aligned. Very good. Bring those arms up into star again. Nice long neck, lined up with the spine. Shoulder blades are down together in the back. Just going to breathe here for a couple of breaths. And drop the arms. We're going to turn this foot into a 30-degree angle. This foot towards a 90-degree angle. Hold it here, pelvis stays forward. We're bringing those arms up again. Shoulders down away from the ears, shoulder blades together in the back, nice long neck, chin slightly in, breathing here for a breath. On the exhale, we'll come down to triangle, just coming down where we can. If you can only come down to the thigh, that's fine. Keeping a slight bend in this knee so we're not locking. We're just bringing it up. If you don't have any issues with hypertension, you can look up at your hand. 4 more here. More breath. Let's bring it up, shaking it out, checking out to see how you feel. We're going to take, if we're okay, we're going to take this knee over the ankle. Feeling a nice activation of the quadriceps here. Keeping the pelvis forward, breathing in again. We're going to lean up, bringing the arm down, palm comes up towards the ceiling, just resting the elbow slightly on the thigh. And then we're just bringing the arm over. Just trying to twist a little bit anteriorly. 3 more breaths. Back side arch of the back foot, bending into the mat. And scooch up and exhale up. Let's shake it out here. Just going to take the knee over the ankle. When we're ready, we're lifting the arms up above the head, stretching it out here, both hips in this direction. Bring your fingertips together, get a nice long neck again. Chin is in slightly, head is back. 3 more. 2 more. Just feel how good that feels. Let's get tall. On the exhale, we're going to lower it down, shaking it out. Very good. Now we're going to come down for our belly poses. We can come down into tabletop. So when we're in tabletop, we always want to make sure that our joints are stacked above each other. So we want the shoulder stacked above the elbow, elbow stacked above the wrist. We want to be using this knuckle rather than the wrist for grounding, so we're not creating strain on those wrist joints and that median nerve. So we're just coming down with our fingers spread, thumbs are pointing towards each other. We have our hips stacked above our knees. We got a little bit of a pelvic distance between our knees. So we're holding it here. We're going to do a few cat-cows. We'll start with an in-breath. The belly drops, head comes up. Stretching it out, creating an exaggerated arch back there. On the exhale, bringing the chin in, rolling the spine as like you're a hissing cat. Really feeling that exhale. This really opens the chest. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Two more. And exhale. One more. That should feel good. And exhale. Very good. Now from here what we're going to do is we are just going to kind of release that pose a little bit by coming down and rotating the hips in one direction. One direction. And then we'll move them in the other direction. Bring the elbows down. This is a relaxing pose to open up the hips. Now we're going to get down into a little bit of a complicated pose, but it's very good for opening up the chest. Getting that aorta. It takes blood from your heart to get all parts of your body nice and open. So we're just going to lay down on our bellies first of all. Breathing here. Now my knees are going to be a little bit like pelvic distance apart. I'm going to bend my heels up towards the ceiling. Feet are flexed. Just going to reach back and grab an ankle, wherever I can grab comfortably. Now, I'm going to feel on the in-breath like my belly is being pushed into the mat. Now on the out-breath, with my chin tucked in slightly, I'm going to lift up. And I'm going to hold it here, if I can, for 5 breaths. If that's too much, release the pose and try it again. And I'm going to just bring it all the way out here. Holding it out, stretching it out, countering that pose. Bring my hands down towards a little bit above my armpits. Elbows are coming in close to the body. On the in-breath, I feel my belly expanding towards the mat, and then exhale. On the next inhale, bringing those elbows in, we're going to come up into cobra. So we're keeping the chin slightly in, nice long neck. We're going to look down at the floor. I'm going to hold it here for 5 breaths, 4 more. Shoulders are down away from the ears. Keeping the pelvis and the abdomen on the mat. Just lifting the chest. One more. And then we're going to drop it down again, lengthen that out. We're going to get in a position for a Sphinx position. So we're just going to keep our shoulders above the elbows, okay? And our elbows lined up with our hands here. Make sure that the shoulders are above We don't have too much, we want a nice alignment there. Okay, so we're just gonna, all we're gonna do here is just lift up and breathe, keeping that chin in, nice long spine in the back, head is back, chin is in slightly. Hold it here for 4 more breaths. We're doing a total of 5 breaths each. Very good. Now we're going to complicate that by doing a dolphin plank. So we're keeping our hands exactly where they are, or we can bring them in like this if we find it easier. We can grasp them together as long as the elbows stay the shoulder distance apart. We're just going to get up on our toes, keeping a spine nice and long, belly is not dropping, nice long back, heels are pushing back. I'm going to hold it here for 3 more for a total of 5. And that is too much. Come up on your knees and go like that. And drop it down. I'm just going to bring the feet together. I'm just going to get up and counter that pose by having the knees wide, feet together, just leaning back into a child's pose. Now if you find that child's pose too hard on your joints, you can have a towel or a blanket in between your legs here. And if you have issues with your ankles, fasciitis or feet issues that some of us don't have foot muscles that will stretch very far in the front, you can have this down here and keep your feet on it like that to brace your feet. Again, legs are wide, comfortable here in our seat, keeping the bum on that. We're just sliding forward. And we'll hold it here for 5 breaths. Very slowly, we're going to come back up and we're going to get into a hero pose from here. So what we're going to do, using our blocks or whatever you have to substitute for blocks, we'll put one down like this, the other one crossed in the back like that. I'm going to sit on the crossed one and I'm going to bring my feet together. Again, if that is still too much of a knee bend for you, you can place this in between your knees. Again, if you need something to brace your feet underneath too. I don't tend to need it, but I will show you what to do. And you can roll that up as much as you need to till you get your feet in a comfortable position. I've made little rolls for some of my students. It seems to help. So we're going to hold it here. Taking a breath in, we're going to bring the hands up above the head, fingertips touching. On the exhale, we're bringing one hand down to the thigh, the other hand down to the back of the block, keeping the shoulder down and away from the ear. We don't want it bunched up. Keeping the chin above the sternum. On the next inhale, we're going to feel the belly expand as the spine gets long. And on the exhale, rotating the whole torso as one unit. We're just going to do a nice, easy twist here. Just halfway. Breathe in and out here. Another breath here. And when you're ready, you're going to take your head, chin over your shoulder, looking over. Hold it here for 2 breaths. Maybe one more. And on the exhale, release it. Let's roll the shoulders back. Make sure we're comfortable. On the next breath, hands above the head, fingertips touching. On the exhale, one arm comes down to the thigh, the other hand comes behind the back. We keep our chin above the sternum at all times. Breathing in, we feel the belly expand, spine gets long. On the exhale, we're rotating. Hold it here. And when you're ready, you're just going to take your chin over that shoulder and hold it here for a couple of breaths. And back to the center. Let's roll it out a little bit. Now, using blocks or whatever you have, we're going to stay in the hero's pose, but we're just going to create a nice little thing to lean on. We're just going to come forward into a modified hero. Arms are bent, and we're just going to drop our heads. My shoulder is above my elbow. Wrists are in line with the elbows, and I'm just going to drop my head to one side. And we're going to hold it here for 2.5 breaths. Breathing in, feel the belly expand. On the exhale, I'm just going to rotate my head. Other ear comes down. And 2 more breaths. Very good. We're just going to come up slowly, readjust ourselves. We are going to get into a Dhanasana or staff pose. So using whatever you use to keep your anterior tilt, because we do want a bit of a tilt to the pelvis so that the hips are higher than the knees. You can use a block, you can use a bolster or a yoga cushion, whatever you feel like you need to do that. I'm just going to use the block here. Keep my supports handy because I'm going to need them for my intense back stretch in a minute. We're just going to get into a Dhanasana pose. So when I'm in Dhanasana, and if I have any issues with my knees, what I can do is put a nice little thing underneath them to keep them slightly bent. Keeping the feet flexed at all times, because that's what really stretches the hams and the muscles along here, like the piriformis. So I'm bringing my hands down, shoulders are down away from the ears. I got that nice long spine, head is back. I'm going to breathe here for 5 breaths. I've already got 1 breath, so there's 4 more. I'm going to release that pose. The next stretch we're going to do is the intense back stretch, which is absolutely good for everything in the body, including the heart. So what I'm going to do is to modify it slightly, because we again don't want to overexert. I'm taking whatever I can to create a bolster or bringing my knees more or less up to my head so that I don't have to bend as far or hold such an intense pose. So I'm going to start with a nice breath in. Again, I'm in Dhanasana, so I have that cord pulling me up. Head is back, chin is in, nice long spine. Taking a breath in, feeling the belly expand. On the out breath, I'm just going to work my way towards my toes in increments. Hold it here. Breathe in, feel the spine getting long again. On the exhale, bending forward as much as you can. One more, we feel the long spine on the in-breath. On the out-breath, we're coming down. We're trying to bring our head down, holding it here, feeling stretch along the back. Like I said, this is great for absolutely everything. 4 more breaths here. And we're slowly going to bring it up. I have to cheat. And let's just counter that pose by going back into Danasana, bringing the arms together in the back. Shoulders were down and back. So we're not crunching up, okay? Keeping the neck and spine long. Very good. Now, we're going to move our paraphernalia around a bit, keeping our bolsters and stuff that we'll need later on. We are going to get down onto our backs for a few poses. We're going to get into bridge pose here. So in bridge pose, my knees are aligned with my hips. That means they're about pelvic distance apart. Make sure my shoulder blades are on the mat. My neck is long. Chin is in slightly. I am reaching my palms are on the mat. I'm reaching my fingertips down to reach the back of the heels. Holding it here. When I breathe in, I should feel my belly expand towards the ceiling. And on the out breath, what I'm going to do, keeping this chin tucked in slightly, I'm lifting up as if everything's going to slide right down to the shoulders. This is great for opening the chest again. Reducing blood pressure, or if you have hypotension, allowing oxygen to get to the brain. So we're going to hold it here for 3 more breaths. We're doing counts of 5, it's just that I'm talking, so I'm missing counts. Now we're going to breathe in. On the exhale, bring those legs together and bring it down. I'm just going to bring the knees into the chest for a minute. And circling the feet here. Now the next pose I'm going to show you is, we have to be very careful with this. If you do have high blood pressure, I would encourage you not to do this. But this is great for people, especially if they have hypotension, either if it's a postural hypotension or a hypotension due to a condition in the body, or if it's due to medication that we're taking. This is great for bringing oxygen back to the head. It's Shambhala, or the shoulder stand. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 versions of it. I'm going to have my chair handy, which makes it very easy for most people to do. And I'll start with that one. So I'm just going to put that, because I want my butt up on here, and I want my shoulders to be relaxed. So I have a little something I can use right here. You can just use a folded blanket or a towel, wherever, underneath the shoulder blades. We want it down so that the shoulders, the head is a little bit down below that. Okay, we're giving the shoulders a bit of a boost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that up, and I'm just going to lift myself up. And holding onto the chair for support, I'm doing this. Now, if that's something you feel comfortable doing, go ahead. We're going to keep it up for 5 breaths. Again, if you have hypertension, this is not a pose I want you to attempt. And I'm going to lower that back down. Now without the chair, what I'm going to do, you can still have this beneath your shoulder blades if you want it. I'm just going to bring my knees up, roll myself up if I can. And I'm going to lift up, come so. I'm going to keep that chin tucked in, that's very important. We don't want to injure the neck. Again, that's only if you feel comfortable doing that pose. The next pose I'm going to show you is great restorative pose. Many of these poses come from Iyengar. He was a master of the restorative yoga. So what you're going to need is a bolster and 2 blocks and a blanket if you need it for your comfort. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this as my bolster. So it's going to go in between my shoulder blades. The idea is to have my head down a little bit and my chest open and rounded forward as I rest my hips in a very comfortable, restorative way with my, okay, oh, I got over there. I told you these things are not going to be perfect, right? If you're expecting perfect, you'll never find it with me. Expectations I learned the hard way. One of the things that cause most of our discontent in life. So what I'm going to do is I'm bringing my feet into Baddha Konasana, soles of my feet are touching, my hips are opening, the knees falling to the side. I have this propped up against my back. And I'm going to bring my hands down like I would in Savasana. Palms are facing the ceiling. My chest is open here. It's up, forward, and open. And this is so great for the heart. So we're going to rest here for 10 breaths. I'm not going to count for you. I just want you to rest. I will tell you when it's time to come out of this pose. Two more breaths for good measure. And we'll just remove the blocks. We'll move the paraphernalia behind very slowly without moving around too much. We're going to come flat down onto the mat for our Savasana posture. So we'll slide down. Feel my shoulder blades on the mat, my butt on the mat, my buttocks, my calves, my heels, ankles are falling slightly because my legs are wider than my hips and my hands are wider than my legs. I want you to lift your head and replant it to the chin is in slightly, a nice long neck in the back. Just going to relax it here, closing the eyes, feeling the breath going in, being aware of it going in, feeling the breath going out, being aware of it going out. Going to feel your body supported on the mat. Gravity gently pushing you down and holding you in place as you focus on that breath in and that breath out. Be aware of your heart chakra in the center of your chest. Color green. Feel that heart of yours open, functioning. Be grateful for what it does non-stop, never resting, never sleeping, always pumping, getting precious oxygen blood to every cell of your body. When you're breathing in, be aware of breathing in. And when you're breathing out, be aware of breathing out. Just hold it here for a few moments. I'll bring you back when it's time. Closed, you're just going to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Come aware of yourself and your body once again. Gradually and slowly, you're going to bring your knees up to a bent knee position. You're going to slowly lift your hips up, and bring them to the side of the mat so you can roll over onto your side. Just going to hold it here for a breath or two. Slowly, you're going to get yourself up to a seated position. If you have a cushion, or a block, or something you can sit on that keeps your pelvis higher than your knees. I like easy pose, so I bring my heel in here, and this here, leaning forward. Just get yourself seated. Nice breath in, hands above the head, fingers coming together, palms coming together, exhaling down into prayer or Anjali Mudra. And we're holding it here. This is a great heart pose, okay? This is great for your heart. Allowing it to open, function properly. I'm going to hold it here for 5 breaths. Checking in with your body. Thank you for doing a great job.